Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. Your KMA crew, the Italian Scallion, Paul DeGracco, Alex Tavella, a.k.a. The GOAT, and always telling it like it is, Honest Abe.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Good morning to all our loyal fans out there. the best way to start your Saturday. Thank you for joining us on this fine Saturday morning. We are broadcasting live from Palm Beach, sunny Palm Beach in South Florida. I'm here with my trusted cohorts, as I am every week, the KMA crew. My man, the Italian scallion, Paul DeGracco, and the man they call the GOAT. Why, we are not really sure. Alex Tavella.
Whatever. At this point, it's too late. Who knows? It is what it is.
Has the title been in question?
No, but it is what it is, and we're stuck with it. We don't know why, and I don't know why.
I totally believe it was a Matt Hartzell thing.
It is a Matt Hartzell thing. Matt Hartzell
he started it and it's stuck,
and we're stuck with it, and whatever. I don't, even if it doesn't mean anything,
because Alex was totally going to deny that nickname, right? Yeah. Once again,
well, it's a good nickname to have.
Yeah, phenomenal. It's a hard nick. A couple fuck ups. Oh, the GOAT. It's not. It's not. Actually.
I'm sure. Every time you make a mistake, he's like, "What kind of GOAT are you?"
Every time I don't make a mistake, and he still puts it on me.
Yeah, there's no room for fuckery if you're gonna walk around. There's no room for fuckery if you're gonna walk around with a name called the GOAT.
No, it's fucked up, man. It's a hard life. A lot of pressure.
It's probably the only nickname that creates an anti-GOAT, right? He actually has a nemesis, a virtual nemesis.
Who are anti-groupies.
I feel like that's Saka's fault, though. Is that bad of me to say? I think Saka created the anti-GOAT.
No, that was around before the Saka war.
Was it?
That was
Saka shot him this, his 5 seconds of fame.
He really did.
Vince, though, actually.
I
like Vince. People don't realize we actually like Vince, or I actually like Vince. We actually like Alan Rubin, even though he's annoying, but he's annoying.
He was just here.
He was. We had a cake. I was sick. I came in just to give him his cake because, he's annoying, but he's annoying. You know what I'm saying?
He's family.
Yeah. It's like a nuisance little brother. Like, you can't say shit about him, but I'll fuck with him.
I've met him a couple times. He's a really nice guy, actually.
Well, Paul, before your day, when we used to do KMA live here, and Alan worked here in South Florida, Alan was an every Saturday regular to watch KMA live here in the studio.
Right.
Really? He actually showed up?
Yeah,
every Saturday. Every Saturday.
Good for him.
Every Saturday. So yeah. No, it's funny, and I think we need to, that for me is a historical moment. We need to title that the Great Saka War of 2020.
Should do another one.
You can't make that shit up. It just has to happen.
I don't know. I'm a wartime consigliere.
Oh no, dude, you're just a war consigliere, not a war. You mean fucking
the second he hears war, he gets excited.
Alex wants to go to war. Alex is scorched earth, man. He really is. There's you gotta rein him in a little bit.
What happened to you? You're such an angry man sometimes.
Listen, we were talking about this. I was actually on the phone with Ronnie Haysha from Secreto Cigar Bar, and Alex's wife works in my office here. So we were talking about Alex because Alex got a little upset this week and really wanted to scorch earth. And and I was telling Ronnie, man, you just like Alex, man. You just gotta chill out. It's not that big of a deal. And somehow I started talking about Alex. I said, Alex didn't even like you when he met you. I'm like, oh, Ronnie's a good guy. He's like, fuck that guy, or whatever. And, wait, and Marissa goes, no, his baseline start is hate, and then you have to work your way up.
100%.
No, especially Ronnie. I wanted to fight Ronnie the first time I met him.
He did.
Which is how I know that me and Ronnie are from the same cloth, and now why we get along. Because the first time I met him, I actually left the shop. I was so aggravated. I wanted to fight him.
He really was. I'm like, dude, what's the problem?
I love him. He called Ronnie FaceTimes with my kid, and I wanted to fight him the first time I ever met him.
Listen, I'll give you with Ronnie, he's an acquired taste, but he's a great guy. But in the beginning, he comes off as a bit much.
Because you want to know why? He comes off the way he comes off, whether you know him or not.
Right? I guess that makes sense.
It's not like you got to get to know him and then say, "Oh, okay, yeah." No, he comes off the first time he meets you. He's Ronnie Haysha, so
this is just how he is.
Yeah, if you don't understand it, you're like, "Oh, what a dick."
No, it's true. It's true. That's what happened to me. I was furious. Who the fuck is this guy? My Napoleon complex kicks in. Who's this guy think he is?
How long have you worked for Abe?
Two short guys with a temper. It really was funny.
I was gonna say, yeah. How long have you worked for Abe, Alex? 4 years? 3 years?
What, 4 years? 4 years.
I remember the first day I met you. I think I may have even said to Abe, like, I don't know what I said to this guy, but he does not like me. Like, I got that vibe from you the first day I met you. And now You know, about 3-4 years into knowing you, I feel like we're becoming buddies a little bit.
Yeah, we're
No, you're not.
buds.
No, you're not.
No, we're buds. We're buds.
Yesterday,
I don't remember.
You know how I know we've turned a corner?
You
Yesterday,
turned me
when I
down to
showed
an
up,
invitation to go have a cigar? Is that how?
I did. That's
Jerk
true.
off. Well,
Yesterday, when I
it's
came
one
in,
and
he
done.
came up to me. He came
Huh?
up to me and said hello.
Me?
He would never have done that before.
We fucking sat here last week making commercials together. I thought that was a.
I know that was a turning point for us.
Yeah, Paul's.
I just ruined it. I ruined it.
Yeah,
Now.
The
Paul's
fuck?
weird.
Yeah, and he denied me. Come on, you're out. You want to go? I'm going back to the shop. You want to go back to the shop and watch Abe on Doja? No, I gotta go home.
I promised
You have
my
to
wife
call
I would
his
be
wife
home.
if you want to make plans. Listen, I've been out with Paul. I think once or twice, maybe 3 times. We've been out. You know, his families. You have to just go to his wife. Hey, Steph, can Paul come out and play today?
He was out.
He can. Okay.
He was out.
Well,
already.
she probably gave him a timeline. You know,
Yeah,
to
he
be
was
home.
in hot water anyway. So.
She didn't. She wanted me to stay, actually. When I was on 95 coming home, she's like, why are you coming back now? I'm putting the kids to bed. But I had promised to be home for bedtime. But
And you
anyway.
already missed bedtime, and you still went home.
Well, I was halfway home at this. Dude, I live so far now. I don't know. I knew that we were moving a little bit further west, but man, it's like a drive. It's like 40 minutes everywhere now.
If it makes you feel any better, eventually you become numb to that.
I know, but I did that with where I lived right by you, and now this is an extra 10, 15 minutes. It really changes everything.
Yeah, I'm telling you, get used to it. Because you got to remember, we lived for 16 years. We lived right off of US 1.
Right, so you were right there.
We were in the heart of everything, you know, in Jupiter. And then when we moved to Wellington, we felt like we moved to another state. I mean, literally, it's like, where the fuck is this place? I remember when they were showing us Wellington, I'm like, who the fuck's living out here? But you get used to it. And then you feel like you're the center of the universe again.
Wes, I have a man card. I have an office. It's mine. This is my space in here. In this space, I have a man card.
So what's funny is I think last night I saw Paul work the hardest he ever worked.
That's not true. When I get into a zone with stuff like that, that's why I offered to help, because I probably made 60 boxes in an hour.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff I like to, like, when you guys had the music pumping, like even Brandy said to me when you left to go do dojo, she's like, that music was really getting me going. We need some more music in here.
That's what I said. That's what I said when I came in. You got to play the right music when you're doing that kind of work. Absolutely,
because it helps you get in the zone and just go. But when I do that kind of work, especially like, you know, we had like a little assembly line going, I'm good at like just banging out those tasks one after another. I like doing that.
There's about 14 people there this morning. There's a whole crew. Yeah, Harry's daughter showed up with like 10 of her friends.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. Nice. So, well, it's perfect. I told Idol, I said, you got to watch them.
Right.
Like, listen, literally, I had my 2 oldest daughters. If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, our long anticipated advent calendars finally landed. And if you haven't heard this story, it's so freaking ridiculous. So, you know, the boxes, there are advent calendars come in. You'll see them in the commercial if you haven't seen it by now. They've been off the coast of Long Island. They were supposed to come to Miami. They stupidly sent it to Long Island. It sat out in the water for months. Then it sat 2 weeks.
Long Beach.
It sat 2 weeks. 2 weeks after it got unloaded. It sat 2 weeks waiting for an appointment for somebody to open up the container. So I literally, this was like on my duties every day, either me or Marissa, to call. I mean, you know, you're not going to get news 99% of the time, but you just want to be that squeaky wheel and call every day. And Monday we got a message that, hey, there's an appointment by Tuesday. It should be on the truck and it'll take 7 days to get there. So I told him, text me when you confirmed it's on the truck. I want the routing number. I want the truck number. I want to GPS that motherfucker and see the truck going across the United States. So I figure when I get the call from him, that gives me 7 days. I'll start making plans. Who's going to come in and work, start recruiting people, make room, because it wasn't just the advent calendars that came in. We had 23 pallets of ashtrays because the Great Smoke and the new smoking ashtrays came in. We had 5,000 Connoisseur Club boxes come in.
My God, everything at once.
Oh, it was huge. So it was literally like, 60 pallets of stuff. And so I'm figuring, okay, by Tuesday or Wednesday, I'll get a confirmation. It'll give me until the middle of next week. The stuff just shows up in the warehouse on Thursday, which means it had to be on a truck by the following.
Right.
Friday
so this guy
Thursday.
didn't know. You got to deal with it.
We haven't gotten one right piece of data ever in months. It was the worst project ever, the worst delivery I've ever seen in my life.
STS.
And let me just tell you something. It doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the world, because we get stuff from other people and they give us precise times. Now they may be delayed.
Right, exactly. But they can tell you.
But everything they tell us is exactly what it is. It hasn't hit the C yet. It's hit the C. You know, this has been just wrong information the whole way.
Who referred this new shipping company?
I don't want to talk about it. So literally we start putting crap together at the last minute, making room, getting people, recruiting friends, family. So my 2 daughters were there last night with me. We got day and night shifts working, and they're there this morning. I just dropped them off at the warehouse, and I'm going there afterwards to try to get all these calendars out, because we want to get them out right away. I mean, we're in the middle of December, so hopefully people they've already shipped. Some people have already got them. Some people will probably get them today and Monday. So at least you'll have half a month of real Advent calendar time. So
no, that's fine. People are so excited about it. You know what? I think the one great thing about Smoke-In customers is they completely they get it. And I've seen a lot of posts about it and people being very understanding that it was out of your hands. It's pretty cool.
What's cool too is, look, I mean, everybody's kind of come together to help make it happen, put it work. I mean, employees have been coming in on their days off to help out, even if it's for a few hours. But what's nice is, I'm very proud of this calendar. I think it's a packaging piece of art, right? And it looks great. But when you work it, right? Because now I'm there and I'm assembling these things, whatever, and I'm saying to myself, oh, this is such a fuck up. We should have done it like this. We could have made it 10 times easier. So I was just talking with Alex this morning. We already have 3 or 4 ideas and some really cool, that even is going to take this calendar to a whole new level next year. But that's because I'm in the pit and I'm doing the stuff that I could see, oh, this was made, we could have designed this so much better and differently. So we're already working on the 2020.
Yeah, so we're going to order next year's calendars next week.
Monday. I got an appointment Monday.
You have to. Yeah.
No, I got an appointment Monday, because what you don't realize is it never comes right on the first variation. And we started early enough last year. We started in September the year before, and we had the final one. We had the final one done and approved by end of June. Right, which really took longer than normal, but by the end of June, so it was a 30-day production time, which puts it at the end of July, and usually it's another 30 or 40 days before it gets here. It wasn't a problem, but we still got screwed. But we'll get it right, 2022, promise. That being said, what else is going on? Great Smoke stuff has been underway. The first mini TGS event was this Wednesday, and these cigars have been landing everywhere. Yes. So, look, the Aganor Salif Anniversario is a limited annual release and is always highly sought after. But I'm telling you, these Maduros in this Perfecto shape, gorgeous. They're just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. They are pretty.
They are pretty. You know what? I didn't get to smoke one. They came while I was out of town, but Terrence was nice. No, you know what? I can't smoke one. Because I have this ready for today's guest, so I just got to save this for another time. And I still haven't tried one of these. Alex, we got to crack these open too.
Oh yeah,
this
DTT.
I
love the design. My wife saw that, and you got to see what she's making. Hold on, I can grab one.
What's funny is
these designs with this twine and stuff.
I was talking to Steve Saka last night. He actually called us at the warehouse while we're working, and I said, "Dude, I really love the packaging. Even the little extra thing like this red stamp he put on the twine." And he's like, it's paper. He's like, it's paper. Yeah. But
that's him.
Yeah,
we don't know if they're good.
Even got the name of the bunchers and the rollers who made it and the date. It's pretty cool, man. This is a pretty wild stamp. This is actually very cool packaging. But yes, this is the next one, January 29th. So last year was the first year we made some TGS releases. And it went over so well that we asked 5 manufacturers to do it again this year, and we're doing mini events to release them one at a time between now and the Great Smoke main event, February 26th. So the next one slated, and after we finish one, we're announcing the next one and who it is. We know who it is. We're just showing the product. So this is the one that's going to go on live. The sale's going to drop during the virtual event, December 29th, Wednesday, December 29th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. catch the mini TGS virtual show. And if you already have your TGS ticket prior to the show, you'll have access to a very special TGS store, Great Smoke store, where you can buy this product. And if it's still around,
you can get that one.
If it's still around, I think there's probably about 70 boxes or so left.
I want to show you this. This is like the style now with the twine. My wife makes these and sells them at the little art fairs here.
What is it?
It's books.
Oh, books
painted with white. I don't know, but the twine is like the thing.
What does this have
I
to
have
do
to tie the bows.
Why are we
Well, because it looks like it reminds me of that DTT thing, the Dunbar.
Seriously?
Thing, the twine.
I see the connection.
You do?
Do you really?
No.
All right.
No.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not. Sorry.
Why is I don't okay. All right.
Hey, listen, don't complain, man. You missed out a lot of years of some weird segues when Adam was on the show.
Well,
we can be talking about one thing and he'll just segue into something else completely.
Well,
where did Paul go? Did he disappear?
I don't know.
Did you insult him? Did you hurt his feelings?
I can't imagine that that's possible.
Yeah, that's what I like about Paul. You really just can't hurt his feelings, no matter what you say. Yeah.
Where he went, I don't know. I don't know where he went.
Well, yeah, because we're going to start talking about Christmas lights. Because did you see Paul's Christmas lights in the past years?
I did. I think maybe. I was here. Was I on I was on the show last year or so.
I mean,
sorry, we had a mini emergency here, but I was listening the whole time.
Did your dog come in and take over your domain, your room again?
No, I when I went to put the books back, I closed the door on her paw. I didn't know she was there. The big dog follows me everywhere, and I didn't know she was behind me. So I closed the door to the office, and she got her paw stuck in the door, and she was screaming.
So what you do? Give her a Percocet on top of her Xanax and Lexapro that she takes every day?
No, she's fine. She's laying here next to me. All
right, Abe was talking about Christmas lights.
Yeah, normally you do a big to do, man, and I can't imagine with all this moving. Paul does a big to do. Like
in your first year, at your first.
No, I don't think he did it this year. I don't know.
Do it.
I did something this year.
Okay.
But Abe's saying this because I was talking to his wife last night about how there's no my house is 2 stories, but there's no first roof to get up to the second roof. And I only have a 20-foot extension ladder and it won't reach the roof. So getting up to the second roof is more difficult. And if I want to hang lights from the top, I got to get up to the second roof and hang over. And I don't really have a problem with heights, but I don't know. I got 2 kids. I got to be somewhat cautious.
I don't got a problem with heights. I got a problem with slanted roofs. So you ain't paying me to get on the roof to hang lights on the second floor.
So I have pictures of both of our houses.
Let's see them.
All right. Who do you want to see first?
No, yours. I'm the newbie in this category.
Well, listen, I'm going to preface this with the fact.
Way under protest. Don't worry about it, Paul. I got your back on this one.
Well, hold on. Well, okay, that's right. Alex and I are on the same page. This is while moving. I put this up.
No, that's good.
It's all right. It's not bad.
I know. I'm like you. I like that second tier lights, but I didn't get on the roof.
And I have a big wreath that's supposed to go in the middle. And here's Abe's.
So, I know your little protest because I hired somebody.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Everything on the first floor I did.
The roof?
No, I said no. Well, okay, sorry. Outside the outline of the 2 roofs, the first and second floors.
Right.
I didn't do that part. That somebody came and helped me out, a friend of ours. But the bushes by the door, the bushes to the right of the door, all the bushes in the front, the 3 trees, moi.
I may have something to say about that because I believe your daughter told me that you may have done 1 set of bushes.
No.
I believe she told me that yesterday because
my
Brandy
daughters were inside and went to a birthday party that day. They weren't even there.
I heard
it was me and Ruben. Why don't you ask the guy who I hired? He'll tell you what I did. Oh, wait. Let me get this straight. Hold on.
Who'd you hire, Ruben?
Yeah, Ruben. Listen, those front bushes where the animals are.
4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I take it back. You see the front bushes where the animal are to the left?
Yeah.
They did do that, but it sucked. So I took it all off and I redid it. They did do that before I got there. Listen, you got to remember, he was doing this while I was at work. And then Saturday after KMA, I went and I redid a lot of it because he laid them just on the top. I'm like, what the fuck is this? You can't see him as a car's driving by. So I took them all off the top and I did that pattern spread all over the front. So, yes. And this is the first time that I've ever really, my wife over the years has thrown up some minimal stuff, because she felt for the kids. But like the kids were too young; they didn't even care, But my kids now are older. My oldest was really into it, really wanted to decorate the house, so we did the whole run. We bought the crap, the blow up Santa, everything, and we put it out.
I'm not a fan of blow ups.
So Abe waits till his kids don't believe in Santa anymore to decorate for Christmas.
It's a great conversation. When I was driving the two oldest to the warehouse this morning, they were debating whether their sister knows yet or not.
How old is she?
Zara's 9.
She's probably right on the cusp.
She's on the cusp, and she's a little bit of my dreamer child, unicorn, fairies and stuff like that. So they think, but they're not sure because she's asking all the right questions, like, how does Santa work in our house, or this year, and why is all the gift wrap paper the same, or whatever. So
that's I think Carmine knows. I think he's just playing us. I think he knows
because he's afraid if he tells you he knows, he won't get gifts.
It's no more Christmas, right? I don't know. I think he knows, right? Because they're just asking the right fucking questions, and you're like,
"Well,
he's 5. He might know." Your kid's witty though. Like he's got a little bit of a.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm working with. It's a problem. We don't have a chimney. How's he get in? Well, he's got a master key. Yeah, but you got the slide lock on the door. How's he get past that? I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't know if I told you this story, but I ruined it for Petra. My oldest. I literally out and out told her on accident. So, well, wait till you hear the story. It's
my God, what a terrible dad.
Well, I felt so bad, but wait, in my defense, listen to the story. So Petra comes to me.
Perfect.
Petra comes to me and goes, I know there's no real tooth fairy. So I'm like, oh, how did you figure that out? She goes, it's kind of obvious, Dad. All right. First, the tooth fairy doesn't show up for 2 or 3 days, and Mom makes up some baloney story that they're busy, whatever. Then all of a sudden, on the 3rd or 4th day, I could hear Mom sneaking into Zara's room, and all of a sudden, wow, the tooth fairy money shows up. So she had pieced it together. I said, okay. So my immediate conversation after that goes to, all right, Daddy, now you've entered a very special club. I said, you have 3 younger siblings. All right. Now it's part of your responsibility to ensure that you don't ruin it for them. All right. Part of growing up as a kid is you want them to believe that there's a real Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and Tooth Fairy. And the next words out of her mouth goes, Santa Claus isn't real. And I'm like, I said, are you kidding me? You figured out the Tooth Fairy and you still thought there was a big fat man who came into our house at night? I mean, bro, I ruined it for her. I felt so bad.
That was inevitable. It's
inevitable. You don't want to
next
be the guy.
One. It all got pieced together. Anyway.
How old was she?
I can't remember. She had to be maybe like 7, 8 years
Yeah, that's
old.
when I was like 7 or 8. But my brother told me. My brother comes up to me one day. I was like coming home from school. He goes, "Hey, you know the Santa Claus secret yet or not?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Santa Claus isn't real. Just so you know. Enough of this." I'm like, "What the hell?" And then I remember going to my mother and I said to her, "My heart wants to believe in Santa, but my brain doesn't."
That is something that you would totally say. I can see you as a child saying that to your parents with your little glasses on.
She brings it up to this day. That's
funny. Well, maybe it's that time to get our guest on. See if he still believes in Santa Claus or not. That's time for Meet Your Maker.
All right.
I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
It's time to meet your maker.
A very dear friend of the show. It's been too long since we've had him on, and he joins us now for the first time remotely from an undisclosed location, Mr. Robert Holt from Southern Draw Cigars. Robert, welcome back to the show, sir.
Well, I'm honored, and good morning to everybody in the
good morning, brother.
Remote locations from around the world, because I fit right in because I'm remote as well. So this is the first time I've done it on the remote platform, guys. So this is new to me.
Yeah, I'll never forget. It was the Tanya Borschwitz show. We were having Tanya Borschwitz from Corona Cigar on the show for the first time. And she was going to drive up from Orlando, and we were going to go in the studio. Oh no, it was maybe the second show. No, I think it was Tanya was the first show. We got booted out of the iHeartMedia building, huh?
I believe Tanya was the first show. She may have been the second because she was we got booted out. We had to reschedule her, and then it was Rocky that did the first actual remote.
Rocky did the first remote coming back, but I think Tanya was the first guest where we had to cancel the show because they wouldn't let us in the building.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. They said, hey, we're not letting people in the building during COVID. You guys can't come in. And we, unfortunately, we're never prepared for it. We never done a remote broadcast like this and ended up having to, I think we lost about 6 weeks? 4 weeks? 4 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to figure it out at home and how we were going to broadcast. And we got it up and running virtually. And we've kind of like mastered the art of StreamYard. And we're very happy with the production quality. I'm not sure if we're going to go back.
I like it.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned that if I step out of line remotely, you can't hit me in the ribs or stomp on my toe and get my so I don't know what the code word is, but you guys gotta, give me the signal, left you out of the bullpen.
I'll give you the poke.
I know you will.
Yeah, right.
The virtual poke.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what's nice too is it's so much easier getting guests every week because we don't have to coordinate.
You don't have to go anywhere, right?
Yeah, when they're coming to town. Fortunately, we were in Florida, so at some point or another, everybody's going through Miami, and we were able to get people who normally aren't in Florida. But it just makes it so much easier to get a guest on any given week. So, kind of like the format. Let us know what you think. Post it in the comments. If you've been watching KMA for many, many years and remember the studio days, post it. Do you like it better virtually now, or did you prefer the in-house studio?
I like the production quality of this better than in studio, but I miss the seeing everybody. But we get to do that. We've been doing remotes now again.
The in-studio feel was kind of cool, and it was kind of cool only as far as camera angles, right? I mean, we still manipulate the boxes and whatever, but having the different camera angles and perspectives was a little bit cooler. But Paul, we've gotten so much better at production quality that we really don't know what we could have done if we were in a studio knowing what we do today with the video.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that. We COVID kind of forced us to get a little more creative with our production quality. And I think if we went back and did it in studio broadcast, the quality would be doubly, if not more, better than how it was when we were doing it back then.
Yeah, I mean, we can't go backwards. So
no,
I agree.
No. So, Mr. Holt, you're looking very seasonal. All you're missing is a little fire pit.
Well, no, believe me, it's right behind me. It's funny, undisclosed location. I'm quite certain this is the first day I've sat on my own patio in 2021. I arrived, Sharon and I drove in late last night from our big bandwagon tour in the RV around the country. And it's good to be in my own chair. And when I landed last night into the driveway, 81 degrees. The temperature in the next 24 hours will drop 50 degrees total. So thus the seasonal attire and the fire pit will be engaged about sunset tonight.
How long was the road trip?
Well, the road trip was 23 states, I think about 150 events and somewhere around 327 shop visits. 23 retail exclusive releases, less 4 that I have held on during the holidays just for lack of being on location. And the only reason we stopped, quite honestly, was the prodding of some of our Florida-based retailers that reminded me and said, Robert, we appreciate you and Sharon trying to come into Florida in the month of the month of December. We appreciate your offer to do events and visits, but we're fucking busy. You guys don't come in here during the holidays where our shops are full and we've got all these events and we got shipping going on because everybody, has distribution channels and advent calendars that are running behind, right? But it was a realization with some of the larger Florida retailers to go, don't come in here and throw a speed bump in my parking lot. We'll see you in the spring. And I said, okay, right. So, time for a little self-reflection. It's hard to be a martyr when your retail partners tell you, listen, don't show up yet. Just wait until the first of the year. So I appreciate the honesty from Orlando down to Miami. The truth came out and said, this ain't your time, brother. So I step aside.
People don't realize, what December in retail is. When we hire people, like it's in our manual, don't ask for time off the last week, 2 weeks of December till New Year's. You're in retail. And basically, the second or third week of February is December. Don't ask for time off. And, it's part of the gig. So if you don't, want to be stressed out working or, unable to travel or whatever, retail ain't the job for you. I mean, it's just, it's nuts. And it's really funny because you just scared me because this has been ongoing, 30 years plus, right? One of my dearest friends, my oldest, longest living friend, right? Since 5 years old. His birthday is December 29th every year. And I've been in retail since I could walk, whether it was the grocery store, whether it's business, my own business, working for other people. So it's always like a crazy, crazy, crazy time of the year. And I can't, the rule is I can't make a reminder. I can't set an alarm. But like every year I get a call on the 4th and I see his name, like, fuck. Because I forget to call him on the 29th.
Right.
And I'll get paranoid.
Is that Sean?
That's Sean. Yeah, I'll get paranoid between now. I'm looking at December 11th, and then I just get wound up between the Christmas holiday, and then I got that little break, and then it goes on with New Year's again, and now with bars with New Year's, it's like no break, and I think I've remembered twice. It's gotten to the point where he's very upset if I remember.
Because what's going on, Abe? Are you okay?
Yeah. No, he
likes to beat him.
Me. He enjoys torturing me on my birthday when he calls me. And he does it like it's 7 a.m. You forgot, cocksucker. I'm like, fuck. So, yeah, I got to remember now, the 29th, to give him a call. But, yeah, retail in December, man, it's war. It's wartime. It's wartime. It's busy, and the customers come out. This will be interesting. This will be interesting because, for me, I think my take on it, I know we were open last year, but this is like going to be the first retail season really for me, in my opinion, post-COVID. And so many more people have gotten used to ordering things online.
Right.
It'll be interesting. Look, for me as a retailer, I'll tell you this. During the holiday time, we used to have to put in 2, maybe 3 additional guys per store, especially the 4 or 5 days leading up to Christmas, because getting cigars is a holiday item is like the last thing anybody's doing. Nobody's worrying about getting the cigars early for their dad or their uncle. That's like something they're shopping 2-3 days before because they know they could just walk in, get it, and then wrap it up and give it to them. So we would always have to, man the stores heavily. And starting maybe about 10 years ago, that declined a lot. Online sales would shoot up in December, but the store pressure got down, and Father's Day was another day. Father's Day was like Christmas. You needed to have 2 guys extra in every store, and minimum. And do you even notice Father's Day being a rush, Alex?
Not a rush.
A little bit, your sales might. Your sales might be up like 15%, 20%, not double or triple what a normal day would be like back in the day. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this holiday season in December.
Well, I'll tell you, Abe, some of the feedback I've had, particularly this year after COVID and we adopt our retail and our distribution strategies, is in the past, customers have voiced that they were concerned about being able to buy cigars early for Christmas, birthdays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever it may be, because they were concerned that they wouldn't be in good condition because they don't own a humidor.
That's another good point.
And I think with the, not to use the term loosely, but the advent of packaging boxes and bundles and samplers and limited releases with humidity, with Humapacks or Bovida packs or whatever it may be, and the education that the retailers have now shared with those consumers that they're going to be safe, they're going to be fine. That's what this packaging is intended to allow you to do, is to plan ahead and be confident that you're going to have a good product. So I think the change in distribution, where we've delivered more over the last 18 months because of COVID, and B, the packaging options and the education to the consumer that it's going to be fine. I think that's played well into allowing people to shop a little bit more in advance.
Yeah, it has. You're absolutely right. It really has. So are you in for the holidays?
Technically, I guess I am. It's killing me. Believe me. I just believe I'm not doing enough if I'm home. However, we'll work full days. But we've got Ethan Jacob here. We've got Sharon and myself, which is really the core of operations for Southern Draw anyway. I'm not comfortable at home working as much as they are because I feel like I owe it to spend as much time on the road in the shops with customers, with our staff. We're gonna fight through this. You know, the next 2.5, 3 weeks is going to be a telltale for Southern Draw as we evolve our business and our strategy. But here's the funny part. We don't have any Christmas lights, by the way. Your guys look good. You guys are more disciplined than I am. But
we also don't have to deal with cold weather when we're putting them up.
Well, you're right. That's
I was sweating putting them up.
Yeah, you're over there spraying the right guard, you know, and trying to make sure it happens. I mean, you can't have stinky pits and put up Christmas lights. You just can't do it.
It ruins the feeling.
Absolutely. But I think here in our home, we all have an office. All three of us. More than half of our space in our home are offices that we have built and probably allowed things to add up over the years. So it'll be Sharon's job to kind of manage how much work we do, and hopefully we spend some family time as well. But the beauty of it is this: Southern Draw started right here in this neighborhood where I'm sitting. We still live in the same place. This company was started 100 yards from here, and we have great partners in Austin. And I don't think they're going to tell us not to show up and visit and interfere in their daily retail plans. They're gonna want to see us, and maybe it won't be so much work, right? Maybe it'll be back to how we started, which is let's just go be social and fellowship, hang out with the people that started Southern Draw with us. They were the ones that embraced us and gave us feedback, negative and positive, and helped us with our direction of our brand. So it'll be good to be back, and I'll just have to take a breath and accept that this is where I'm meant to be for the next couple of weeks.
Robert, you know, I know you've been on the show a couple of times, but, you know, doing this, you know, being in the business 25 years and doing the show for almost 11 years, you know, I've learned, you know, there are new people who are getting into this lifestyle and passion every day. So I don't want to be presumptuous. And for some of our fans or listeners and newly developed cigar aficionados, if you would, I know you've been on the show, but just humor us a little bit. Give us a little bit about background about who you were and how you got into the cigar business.
Yeah, you know, we have talked about it in the past, but it's simple for me. Cigar smoking is my only vice. That's where everybody laughs. But I've smoked cigars for 30 years, and it's been my relaxation. It's been my getaway. It's been the way I focus for work. It's the way I celebrate. It's the way I mourn. It's the way I study the word. It really is the gateway to just balance for me. Now, coming out of the Army, I was very fortunate that I started very early with the very large wireless companies, the Verizon, Sprint, Qualcomm, very large corporate environments. But the beauty of that lesson was, I realized the corporate structure didn't allow us to be as creative as we want and to have the opinions and the priorities in our life. And I think after 15 years, my wife made it very clear to me that it's time for you to set your priorities straight. It's, again, faith, family, fellowship in that order of priority. Pay attention to the neighborhood and the community. And those 15 years, I spent the majority of that in Central and South America, the Caribbean nations. I visited over those 15 years every factory, every farm. I learned as much as I could just as an engineer, really paying attention to the tobaccos and the varietals and the process and the curing and the fermentation and the blending and the aging and how it affects this beautiful art form. And, you know, for me, I liken cigars to this day to other art forms, blues and jazz in particular, where it really takes an evolution where the godfathers, the kings and the queens lay the groundwork. And they provide a style, and then we get to make that style our own. And I think that's about innovation. And you guys have been part of it, Abe, 25 years. We've got some retail partners that have been doing this for so long. But the innovation is taking what has been learned and what has been shared and paying attention to that, but to evolve it and make it your own. So how we got into it was my wife basically said, this is where we're meant to be. If we're going to spend our relationship chasing the brass ring, we're not going to make it. But if we spend our relationship serving other people, then we're going to do just fine. And I'd tell you what, that reality that it was okay not to be in the corporate world and chase, the big houses and the big cars and the big boats and the big vacations, the big gold watches, and just do something that served other people. There is nothing in the world I would trade for the decision that she put upon me, which is, you love tobacco, you love the people in these third world developing countries. We can do something with them to highlight their art form and their humility and their dedication. And they can, in turn, count on us to put all of our effort, all of our energy, all of our family resources. And they know that if they do a good job for us, we're going to be there and we're going to honor our commitment, and particularly Nicaragua. We would love to expand it, obviously, to other countries as well, but our production is in Nicaragua. Most people know, with AJ Fernandez. So we got into it, and really as a mandate from my wife to get our priorities straight and to serve other people the rest of our lives. And I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Very nice.
I mean, and to date, Robert, you guys are very heavily involved in charitable organizations within the U.S. and especially in Nicaragua, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys have done? Because you've done some great work.
I will. Paul, I don't want to appear that we're patting ourselves on the back or we're doing something that other cigar brands, manufacturers, retailers aren't doing. That's not the case. Of course. Our mission from day one was let all things be done with charity. And again, if that is your mission statement, we have to find a way to we blend and we brand products that share a story about very influential people and places in our lives that have framed who we are and what we do. So every blend has that story. It has those influential people in that, and B, within that, what was important to those people? If they were influential in my life, for instance, what was important to them? And in many cases, it was providing food, shelter, clothing to our homeless, to our aged population, to our less fortunate, to our military veterans, people of service, to our mentally challenged that have gone through things that just really need some help, for us to do that in third world countries. So if your mission is let all things be done with charity, we try to do it in a way that we have blended and packaged and produced a product with those partners that tell their story, that focus our charitable works in their communities, not something that's important to us, but that's important to them. So Ignite series is an annual series from Southern Draw, always new cigars, previously unreleased blends and sizes. Historically, that has been to focus on charities within our military communities, and that has changed every 12 or 18 months. We have a new announcement coming soon for that. The 300 Hands line, obviously, is a focus on community charity needs in Nicaragua today, where our cigars are produced. And that is the culmination of many years of interviews and discussions within the communities in Nicaragua that are the farms, the factories, the fields, the box factories, the community that supports the cigar industry as a whole, letting them determine where the funds go. And in short, it's enabling them to give back to the community where the needs are most apparent. They know more, they live there. So we just want to enable or empower them by giving quantifiable access to funds and resources, whether it's the Red Cross, it's building a small house of worship in the farms, it's putting corrugated metal roofing after a storm, if it's after school snacks or school uniforms. A lot of brands do this. Ours is allowing those people to dictate because they're making the product. And then, of course, in 2021, the big focus for us is getting back to the origin of tobaccos, natural tobaccos, and really differentiating traditional tobacco use, which is premium cigars, and commercial tobaccos. And the Manzanita was the big hit for 2021. And really, it's a 12,000-year story of Native American indigenous peoples using tobaccos for the same way that I use it, and most of you use it, which is for celebration, for mourning, for spiritual reasons, for trading, bartering, whatever it may be. But that is a charity that gives back to the First Nations Development Institute, primarily to educate the next generation of kids, their traditional uses of tobacco versus those very health adverse, risky uses of commercial tobaccos, and B, getting them to have access to funds and resources that will allow them to go back to growing and cultivating food sources and healthy food sources to really return to their roots and use their land in order to provide for themselves. So we're honored to partner with all these wonderful organizations.
Very cool.
Really is. Robert's a guy that you could talk to for. Oh, somebody's beeping.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't me. I didn't want to say anything. There we go.
I think it's Robert. Yeah, I muted him for a moment. But the thing about Robert is,
anybody get that?
You could.
When
he's
you
good to go.
No, that's how you used to do the hearing test in school.
Yes.
Do you hear that, Robert?
Well, I know what he's doing. I don't hear it because I don't know, but I know exactly what he's doing.
There's
My
some
ears
beeping.
are good.
There's some beeping sound coming through the headset, but it sounds
coming
like
through your mic. Yeah.
My mic?
No, it's coming through Robert's mic.
Huh.
It might be his computer fan just kicked on or something.
That's why he can't hear it. We can.
Yeah. But what I was going to say maybe it'll go away, so I'll mute him for a minute. But you could talk to Robert. If you haven't met him in person, he's one of the easiest people to talk to, right? The guy's got these awesome stories. He's just a knowledgeable, really, really likable guy. I can't imagine somebody meeting him that's like, he's all right. Like he's just a really cool guy.
He's a righteous guy.
Well, that's a great word. He's a righteous guy. You know where he missed his calling, in my opinion, though? I'm going to tell you where he missed his calling, because I get this all the time, but I don't hear it at all. I guess you don't hear it if it's yourself, but Robert should be doing voiceovers.
100%. 100%.
You got that voice, man. You should be doing voiceover work.
Like for the Simpsons or something?
Commercials, whatnot. You got a distinctive voice.
And I appreciate that. Let me say this. I'm on here today because the family has put upon my shoulders to communicate on behalf of the brand and the family and the mission and who we are, right? It's not the Robert Holt show, right? I mean, I do appreciate being on here. I love to visit. I'm not a social butterfly. I just enjoy visiting and discussing, and as my wife says, I love the human condition the way she does, which is learning as much as we can about people, their struggles and their triumphs, right? Because I think this vehicle allows us to have that open mind to do it. But I'm the voice at the family of Southern Draw, which are 17 of our family members that have invested time, money, resources to allow it, all the great partners. But for some reason, from day one, they've allowed me to be the voice of that. But it's not my voice you're hearing. Keep in mind that the voice is the voice of the entire family, the culmination of everything that we believe and they've shared and they've instilled in me, because COVID changed me. Make no mistake. I had it bad. It almost killed me.
You quarantined yourself in your trailer, didn't you? I remember that. You were in bad shape. We had talked a couple times when you were quarantined, but you literally moved yourself out of the house and stayed in the trailer.
That's right. Ethan Jacob has some very serious health issues that we continue to try to diagnose and to look for treatment. And it's important to make sure he stayed away. But someone that hasn't been to a doctor since the early 90s, hasn't even had health insurance because I haven't needed it. Neither has my wife. I had to quarantine, but I didn't know how bad it was for that 90 days until I started to recover. But it gave me, I think, a lot of time for the body to just take the brunt of everything I put it through over the years, and the mind. But the outcome of that is not just a new commitment to what we do and how we do it, and a clarity. But the negative of that, quite honestly, guys, has been an attitude change. My tolerance has changed, and Abe and I had a discussion about 2 weeks ago on the phone, because what I found in the post-COVID or long COVID world, if we want to talk about challenges, is I found a difference in my personality and my patience, and I take things personal that I've never taken personal in my life, and I've got to work on it. It's actually a note right here in front of me on my clipboard. If I had to admit something that I need to work on publicly to the whole KMA audience, it's this. I need to work on that return to the personality that represented this brand for all these years, because the reality is COVID changed me, and I've got to be more tolerant, more understanding, and zip my lips sometimes. I shouldn't take things personal that I do, and it's going to be the demise of us if I don't. So I'm okay with people holding me accountable for that, because it actually helps me with the feedback, even though it's not all positive, right?
So we're going to go to a commercial break a little bit early. Maybe
that?
Paul, during the break, you can get Robert to disconnect and reconnect, and maybe get that sound and get that humming out of the way, because we don't want to miss any of this knowledge and stories that Robert's going to be passing on to us. In hour two, we got more coming up with you with Robert Holt. We have the coming on the last two of this year as the record spins, sponsored by Avo Cigars. We're going to have a new segment starting in January with Avo Cigars in a new format, and I'm kind of very excited. Eddie Guerra, who's going to be our guest next week, by the way, and I were talking about the new format. It's going to be a little bit interactive and fun, so this should be very, very interesting. And of course, we'll be coming down to the home stretch of season 3 of Tale of the Tape. So don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be back right after this. Keep it lit.
Surgeon General warning: cigar smoking can cause lung cancer and heart disease. Currently available at your favorite cigar store, the Romeo y Julieta Reserva Real Nicaragua is another fantastic collaboration between AJ Fernandez and Rafael Nadal. Landing a #1 cigar of the year of 2020 by Cigar and Spirits magazine, the Reserva Real Nicaragua is handcrafted at Tabacalera AJ Fernandez. This Nicaraguan Puro is a medium to full-body cigar that is packed to the brim with flavor notes of leather, coffee, and red pepper, which pairs nicely with a spiced rum. Available in 4 sizes, Romeo y Julieta returned to prestigious form with the Reserva Real Nicaragua that should be enjoyed by all. Surgeon General warning: cigar smoking can cause lung cancer and heart disease.
There we go. Oh, hey. That time of year again. We do our thing. Try to get festive. Move into a new house and want it to look good in the neighborhood. Win the contest. You know what? It's one of the most stressful things there is. Because you can't do it during the day. You got to do it when the kids are sleeping. So here I am, enjoying a nice glass of Bonner Private Wines to help me through the night. I'm almost there. You know what? Our friends at Bonner Private Wines have some really great Malbecs right now. Perfect for the holidays. Check them out. It's a 3-pack sampler. You can join the Wine of the Month Club. You can try 3 different Argentinian Malbecs. They're really good. I enjoy them. They're helping me create this masterpiece here. You should check them out too. KMAWines.com has discounts for you on shipping, on the package itself, and if you want to become a Wine of the Month Club member, guess what? There's discounts for that too. Check it out, KMAWines.com. I will be up for another couple of hours taking care of this. Check it out.
Well, I'll join you.
Sorry, there's something wrong with my sound. I was trying to fix the settings.
I don't know what's going on.
I couldn't even hear the commercial was over.
Really?
You know, did first off, I'm in utter shock that he did like now what 2 commercials now, brand new commercials like in 2 or 3 weeks.
2 for 2.
But did we not buy you a cordless mic? Unmute yourself. Is it me or is it you can't?
I haven't had that since we were in Tampa. I gave it back to Alex. He said
I think it's in the bag with the Tampa stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, he's 2 for 2. The only problem, my only concern is he'll be running that holiday commercial in April.
In July.
Yeah.
No, because that's why we made the evergreen one with the bathroom so that we can.
That can,
So that we can use that forever. Robert, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah,
and we can hear you.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than it was. Absolutely.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So, Robert, every week, fine folks over at Avo Cigars have a segment called As the Record Spins. Our good friend Eddie Guerra poses our guest a very interesting or unique question, and we have a question for you this week on this segment called As the Record Spins. Power.
Wait a minute. Flag on the play, false start. Paul, you jumped the gun a little bit.
A little bit.
I did.
Start.
I normally give you the finger cue when I'm ready for you to go.
There's still a delay when we're live, so I try to get it in there a half a second before, but you added the powered by Avo cigars.
Yeah,
You saved yourself the finger.
Save myself the finger.
Wait for the finger.
All right. So the question for you this week from Eddie Guerra is, what is something that you've always wanted to do but never have yet?
Wow, that's a great one.
In fact, I'd like to hear this from everybody.
I picked a more philosophical one for Robert, actually, because I knew he'd have a little bit of a harder time.
Well, while you're thinking of that, I'll just chime in so you get a few moments to think. I've been over 300 pounds since I was a junior in high school. All right.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, handy playing football, not handy after you stop playing football. So that's always been my goal, is to get back below 300. I think the closest I got was my wedding date. I was down to about 318. So skydiving. I still want to skydive, but like if you're over 300 pounds, nobody's taking you up. Nobody's taking you up. Most places it's 250, but 300 is the threshold. Sometimes parasailing, all that kind of stuff, it's about a 300-pound zip lining. 300 pounds is kind of the thing. So that's something like I want to do. Our brother Ronnie just did it at his wedding in Hawaii. Looked badass.
I saw. That was cool too.
Yeah, it's something I would totally do. But I got to get below 300 to
no
do
desire to do that.
Airborne.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I've been able to really explore the world, and I've been in 67 countries. I think I've done a lot of great things. I'm a big fly fisherman. If you don't know, I'm not a good fisherman, but I'm a very fishy guy. Gives me peace. But it's afforded me. I've gone a lot of places and seen a lot of things, done a lot of things, experienced. But I think my answer is really more philosophical than it is an actual bucket list item that I haven't got to do, because I've been blessed in that sense. But I think here's the thing I want to do that I've never been able to do since I was a young child, which is become clear yesterday, which is funny, as Sharon and I drove 12 or 13 hours yesterday. She listens to Freakonomics a lot, and sometimes it's a liberal cause, sometimes it's a conservative cause, sometimes it's right down the middle. And it's great. Mm-hmm. But something was clear to me yesterday that gives me the answer for the question, and it's this: being able to accept that trying a lot of things you're not good that maybe you're not prepared for. That's just an idea that wasn't well planned and well executed, and accept the fact that there's going to be a lot of failures. And then in the end, if you try 10 things and you fail at 9 of those, and that one is extremely successful, Everybody involved is excited. It evolves, it grows, it in perpetuity. It really provides a return, whether it's an emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, whatever that return is. I think what I want to do is be able to live in the moment a little bit more and take chances a little bit more. I've taken a lot of chances, but I want to be able to take chances with the knowledge, with the understanding that I'm going to fail at 80 to 90% of those 10 things, right, every time, and to be able to accept that. It's not within me to do it, and I'm not saying I haven't failed, but I'm saying I don't really take those chances, and I want to be able to do that. And that Freakonomics that my wife put on yesterday that almost put me to sleep on a long road trip. Sorry, Sharon. It really crystallized for me that I have to be willing to do that to evolve as a person, as a brand, as a father, as a husband, as a business person. I've got to be able to accept it. What I want to do is accept failure, because failure is what will define us in our successes, I think. So that's what I want to do. Philosophical answer, but it was on my mind and my heart anyway. I even wrote myself a note last night when I got in about that.
Interesting. How about you guys?
I mean, I'll go, Alex, since you gave me the head nod, but I don't know. That's hard to say, because I in my 20s, like, if I wanted to do something, I did it, right? Like, I didn't have anything holding me back. So there were things there's one thing that I'd like to do that I really can't do. Right. Well, I guess I could now, but I really want to take my kids to Europe. Like, I want my kids to see, like, where my family grew up, like where my great grandparents grew up in Italy, in like extreme poverty. They're too young now.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that I couldn't.
Yeah, but I don't have, like, what's something you want to do, Paul, that you haven't done? Nothing?
Well, you know what? I'll say this. I mean, you're going to make fun of me, and so will everybody in the comments. But someday I'd like to work for Disney.
Well, you kind of already do.
It's valid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always said, listen, I said, if tomorrow I come into great wealth, we quit our jobs, we, buy a house on the east end of Long Island where we'd love to be half the year, and have a house here. But I would love to, I don't know, drive the monorail or something 3 days a week.
You would like to work as one of those people, or would you like to work as a character?
No, I would never be a character. But I would be the guy on, like, the Jungle Cruise that did the spiel that, like, here we come up on the backside of water. I would do something like that.
How about you, Alex?
My inner history nerd kind of comes out on this, but I'd like to go to Egypt and search for Alexander's tomb, which they're not quite sure they've found yet.
Wow. Okay.
That's my inner history nerd.
That's funny, because we were just talking about the pyramids and the Sphinx with my kids on Thanksgiving weekend, and we're going to Jordan next summer. So, Egypt's not that far away. So trying to think of maybe we could maneuver a 3 or 4 dayer while we're there.
I hear it's a great trip for families, actually.
It's
never been.
It's such a crazy thing. And I was actually just listening to stuff about the pyramids, but Alexander's tomb is about as far away in history to where we are right now as where the pyramids were to that time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we think about in 300 BC, the pyramids were already a couple thousand years old. It's
right.
Strange to think of.
It's funny because we were just talking about Alexander. It's weird how this stuff comes up. I was just talking about Alexander on the car ride with the girls this morning, because I said, for Pete's sake. And my daughter asked me, well, what does that mean? And who's Pete? I said, well, that's a damn good question. I'll assume that it's St. Peter, but I don't know. So we actually Googled it. And does anybody know what the answer to this is before I go into dissertation?
No. Has something to do about Tatuaje, I think.
Great answer. But you see, you learn something new at KMA Talk Radio. We're just not all jokes and fun here. So St. Pete, they actually don't know the origin of it. They believe it was a milder substitution because people used to say for Christ's sakes or for Lord God's sakes. And, obviously that's, you can't use the Lord's name in blasphemy. So, but some people believe that it started really in the 1900s, early 1900s, but they believe that it may be in reference to St. Peter. But there's also the fact that people used to say for pity's sake, and maybe that people just started using peat for pity. So there really is no definitive word why, how it came about, and there's no definitive reason on who actually Pete is, for Pete's sake.
Isn't that there's a lot of things like that in the
Italian
English language, like colloquialisms.
Oh, so
Good
yeah.
question.
So no, because we were talking about so then something else came up because we were just talking about origins of things, and because I said St. Peter and I started talking. Wow, I didn't. What a connection! So I said St. Peter, and my daughter's like, "Who's St. Peter?" And I said the disciples, and who are the 12 disciples, and then had to name them all. And Judas. She goes, "Isn't that the guy who betrayed Jesus?" I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, you haven't heard the expression, don't be a Judas. You're a Judas. That's where it comes from." I said, "Do you know any other famous people who betrayed?" Someone, significantly in history. So she names Benedict Arnold. I said, there's a historical figure. I said, anybody else? And then we got into Julius Caesar. So I'd explained to her about who Brutus was and whatever. And then she started talking about history, and we talked about Alexander the Great, and we were literally discussing it this morning, and then you bring it up. Funny how everything goes around. Yeah. You ever do that? Like, we'll talk about Alexander the Great, then all 3 or 4 times this week, something will come up. That ever happened to you too?
That's how it goes. Absolutely.
Yeah, 3 or 4 times this week, something will come up about Alexander the Great. So, all right, well, let's get back to our guest, Robert Holt.
Yes.
Paul actually does a little work every week for KMA. He makes us these outline sheets, and Paul actually likes to research. So for him, it's not really work, but he finds some points to talk about. And I noticed one on this sheet that either I was in oblivion, because I didn't even know about this. So this is going to be an interesting question for me. But earlier this year, Southern Draw announced it was looking for outside investors to help finance its growth and expand its sales team. And I didn't even heard that this would happen. How did that go for you, Robert? I mean, what was did you find outside investors? And if you have, what have you expanded on since then?
Well, yeah, that's funny you bring that up. I
don't even know how Paul heard about it. I didn't even hear about it.
Well, it was a press release, actually.
I didn't even.
The media did a good job. It was embedded, kind of a rider bill, kind of like the Tobacco Act, right? Which kind of hid it in there. But because I come from public company markets, and this is a family-owned business, 17 different family members involved. Everybody appears comfortable with where they're at and what they've done. I think we've grown beyond our own expectations and our own resources. A couple of things have happened, not like any probably other growth brands in this industry. You get interests that are communicated into acquisition, mergers, whatever it may be. But for us, it was about expanding the brand, the retail distribution channels and strategies. So in saying that, we talked to the family, and the family's like, hey, we're comfortable where we're at, what we've done. We're excited. We don't want out. We don't want to sell. We don't want to do these things. We want to continue. Now, here's the reality. The reality of it is, when it comes to operations, Sharon is priority number 1. Ethan, priority number 2. Robert, priority number 3, in an order of contributions. Believe it or not, I mean, that's the truth. Yes, I get to blend and brand and do those things, but it's the customer service and it's the things that Sharon does so well that has allowed us to grow. Make no mistake about it. So in doing that, because we had a couple of private discussions about investments and growth, we felt compelled that it would only be fair to make that public statement that we are, for the first time ever, considering outside investments, outside the family, if you will. Now, the second part of this answer goes back to Sharon's long road trips with Freakonomics, where we really think about, and I did come from venture capital business at Qualcomm. We were Series A investors of PayPal and RF Micro Devices, AMD. I sat on the other side of the table with big corporate umbrellas of lots of money where people came to us and asked for money. Now, the reality of that is, back to what I said earlier about the Avo question of the week, which is having the ability to accept a lot of failures in order to get a great return one time is something you've really got to be able to measure, the risk-reward scenario. So for us, we did have a lot of interest, both from the majors in this industry, but also ironically, other brands and growth brands that are very similar in size and stature to Southern Draw have said, we don't want to own Southern Draw, but we'd like to be part of it. If you need help, some money has been offered. Investments in the realm that we want have been offered. But what we're doing is we're completing our year, and we again have been blessed with incredible growth this year. And that goes back to the partners and the retailers and the distributors and the media for sharing all of our wonderful stories. But we're going to assess at the end of the year, Abe and team, the multiple options that we have, which is allowing Southern Draw to kind of pull resources with people that have more knowledge, wisdom, and experience and relationships in this industry to bring it into a larger scale, or to continue to grow organically. And that is where we're at. If we grow organically for the first time ever, we don't need to go outside the family just for investment, but we need to go outside the family for personnel resources. It's time. We've done this with brokerages. We've done this with just the family volunteers, if you will. It's time to bring in some talent. You started before the show. I was in the green room, and you had the new Exclusivo from Aganorsa, and you said, I'm going to not smoke this new Maduro Perfecto. I'm going to smoke for the guest on the show, and I appreciate it, Abe. But the reality of it is, the people like Terrence have changed this industry and changed Aganorsa. We all know this. There's no sense in mincing words. We realize the power and the energy and the commitment of others outside of ourselves, and we would like to see what that would look like if we brought some of that talent into Southern Draw Cigars. It shouldn't be the Robert and Sharon show. Our mission will not change. Our vision will not change, but we will be better served. You will be better served, and our consumers will be better served by adding some real talent, people that have failed, people that have succeeded, people that have great ideas, differing ideas and strategies. And let's really take a look at those and go back to the question of the week is, let's take some risks and take it off our own shoulders and make sure that we're fortifying what we started with some new talent, some new people. So the money's one side we're considering, but we're also considering the use of proceeds. Who do we bring in? How will they affect the business? Are we willing to step aside from our not dictatorship, because there's two of us, but are we willing to turn some of that over to other people in line with our mission and vision? And that's really where we're at. We're in that assessment period, and I assume by Q1 we're going to make some decisions strategically to change the direction of this company.
It's funny you said bring in some people who have failed, and I get that mentality, right? They're like, why would you bring in somebody who failed? Because look, everybody fails at one point or another, right? So you find a guy who's failed but is intelligent enough to have learned from his failure. My philosophy is, good, you got that scrub out of the way before you started work here. Now you can learn from that and come and succeed over here. So it's not bad to hire people who fail. You just got to make sure that it's the right scenario. Getting outside investors is a tricky thing. One of the, I've had a partner who's passed away, God rest his soul, and his family has their shares. And one of the wisest thing, he ever taught me was an operating agreement, because my one concern was, I'm bleeding, my sweat's going in here. At the end of the day, when stuff fails, it rests on my shoulder just as much as things succeed. And I don't want to be told how to do. And I was young back then. I really didn't understand operating agreements and what they did and the significance of them. But, he basically educated me that, hey, you run the whole show. I don't want to tell you what to do. It's not my business, and that's how you draw them up. And when you have outside investors sometimes, because look, they're putting their money in your company. There's sometimes stipulations or whatever. Do you have any concerns about not having the same freedoms if this is a move your company makes?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You hit some key points there. And I think it starts, I've had some bad experiences, right? I mean, when we left the corporate world, we had some very lucrative deals that we'd worked on in Central and South America on the engineering technology side. It was all taken at the snap of a finger. Most people that have visited with us over the last 8 or 9 years knows some or all of that story. It put us in the poorhouse from a very comfortable position, but that humility has made us who we are. Now, that being said, what did I learn from that, Abe? What I learned from that is establish expectation, diminish disappointment, which is the conditions precedent to raising money outside staffing have to be defined, have to be written and executed. And as much as we can from an agreement standpoint, make sure it's documented. And here's a key point that I've learned over the last 9 years. Not only do we want to document and contract what we agreed to outside of a handshake, but we want to do it in a bilingual format because a lot of our partners are from Spanish speaking countries, and the inability to directly translate what I mean, what vernacular is in this industry is one thing, but from a legal standpoint, from an agreement standpoint, from an understanding standpoint, you've got to be able to have that bilingual where all the parties understand, because there's not a direct translation in the legal community. Right. So that's
something you don't think about, but I can see that the legalese may not translate.
But I'm scared to death. That's the short answer. I'm scared to death to do it.
Look, it's, anybody who knows me, I'll tell you, most of my career I've been in debt. Growth is powered by money, and we've borrowed money many, many times along the years to build stores, to do things. And, borrowed money is never a bad thing as long as it's put to good use. Borrowed money that gets squandered, you're in trouble, right? So
it is, but if that borrowed money has some risk adverse nature to it, and the understanding is that you're going to go out and prospect with it or some portion of that, I'm a big believer of use of proceeds and use it only for what you said. But again, that's open to interpretation. Think about the laws in the venture capital world where before we borrow from pension funds and we borrow from retirement funds, and we have to use these things in a very specific format mandated by the government and the public sector. Now, years later, the venture capital funds actually went to the Department of Commerce and Justice and had the laws changed so that they could take some percentage, and I think the percentage is like 10%, into more risk-adverse ventures. So again, established expectation is this is the money, these are the use of proceeds, but this small portion is going to be for prospecting. Some of those, and majority of those, will fail, but the ones that hit are going to hit big, and they're going to hit with great multiples and returns, and those successes are what will define our future. The futures are what we're going to use as building blocks to learn. So I'm scared to death. But here's what I know. My wife is sincere in what she does. It's very well thought out. And I think as I step aside, and listen to her more, and I'm not saying that because she's not watching the show. The other part of the final part of this answer is this. What I've come to realize in the last 24 months is that my son and his generation, as 21 years old, obviously Jacob's Ladder has a great influence and story for Southern Draw, and the growth of it's been incredible. He is the heir apparent. And what he said to me is, Dad, pay attention to your demographic. Your demographic where you started with Southern Draw has changed drastically and will continue to change. You, as the patriarch of this business, need to start paying attention to my generation and to the other changes of demographics in an industry, and making sure you're appealing and understanding and providing or allowing the feedback from those other demographics outside the traditional percentage of premium cigar smokers in the United States and abroad. The future is being changed by our generation, and you better pay attention. So part of this is stepping aside and letting a young man step in with a new vision and a new strategy that falls in line with what we've committed to do. And that's been tough, to allow our kids to educate us in a way and to have confidence knowing that his decisions are pretty sound. They're very well thought out, and they're very valid points that we need to pay attention to.
That's a very insightful young man. How old is Jacob?
Just turned 21.
I'm getting an echo. Is it just me?
No, I hear it too.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this headset, and I'm going to plug it.
No, it's not from you. It's not from me, Robert.
Oh, okay.
Am I coming through all right now?
Yeah, you're fine now.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good. So you said Jacob was 21?
Correct.
No, extremely insightful. And listen, another thing, if young Jacob is listening, I've learned over my time, little contract 101 here. When you do a partnership or an arrangement in business, it's always fine and dandy, but it's like a marriage, right? It literally is a marriage. And it's always better to pre-plan your separation in advance than wait till you realize you can't work together, right? And that's what a good operating agreement does in a business, right? So, because a lot of times, you get to the point where you're, all right, this ain't going to work out. We got to split up. Then you spend a year fighting how you're equitably going to split up because you can't agree.
So have a prenup.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to come to that agreement on how that's going to be handled if and when that day should ever come. Then it's a clean break. Hey, this is what we agreed upon. This is what's going to happen, and we're done. And then
it's easily said. it's easily said, but try talking to your fiance about a prenup before you
Well,
marry her.
I'm shocked she didn't ask you for a prenup.
Right.
yeah, right.
She was working at the Breakers.
A dispute resolution should be a larger portion of the contract than the actual operating agreement itself, right? Because you're right. Otherwise, you got attorneys, I got attorneys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you waste
fight for what
tons
I
of
think.
resources
And-
and times figuring out how you're not going to work together anymore.
Yes, and it could be the smallest thing, right? But you're absolutely right. The dispute resolution part, if we take away anything today, is have that figured out well in advance to avoid the consequences to whatever the mission was to begin with, because it's the mission that's going to pay the penalty, the price, right?
Absolutely. Robert, were you at the PCA show this year?
We were not.
You were not.
I was just coming out of COVID. Yeah.
Do you have plans on attending next year?
You know,
Not sure yet.
Yeah, we're not sure in a sense of to go to the show. We really need to make sure that we're prepared for the orders that come outside of our growth and our production that goes into our forecasting and planning with AJ Fernandez at all.
Oh, there's your beautiful ad right there on the screen.
Oh, that's beautiful. and I appreciate you putting that up, because that right there is the definition of what we are. I mean, this is about the humble, hardworking hands of these people. This is not about me. And I just love it, because that is the simplicity of what Southern Drawl really is right there. So thanks for putting that up. But
that's your advertising spot. It goes up every show, buddy.
It does. It
be
does.
on this week.
Well,
I figured it was a good spot to put it in right now as you were talking about this, but it's always your spot.
Yeah, like I need to upgrade the lineup, because we actually have grown, as far as the core blends and releases. We need to add that.
That's the hardest thing about the advertisers, Robert. We can't get anybody to update their ads. We got to call. We got to beg. I see you got so many new lines. You need to change your graphics. That's the worst thing about doing the show. It really, really is.
Yeah, and again, we don't have people, right? But our when we started here in Austin, our graphics guy Jonathan had just moved to Phoenix, which he does a great job. He does all of our ads, all of our website, all of our content, and then we have an outside professional photographer that does most of our shoots. They've done their job. The person that hasn't done the job is me, because I haven't updated it from the Dropbox and make sure that it's into the new print or media graphics, right? So that falls on me. No sense in pointing the finger in another direction.
Wow.
It's hard. It's hard, but you have a good brand. Like a good brand image, I think is key, especially in this industry. That and good cigars. So.
Yeah, I think we got to start with good products for sure. And again, I've said this many times. I'm not in it to be important or a master of anything. That's never been it. Never will be. And that goes back to taking things personal. But I can tell you this: we source the best product, raw materials we can. We put them through an established process. We have great partners. AJ Fernandez et al. Has executed our every wish. And I know there's many times that they've put aside their own major projects and opportunities to support Southern Drawl and give us a little bit of grace there. But, again, our job is to put out the best possible products for the fairest possible price, and to support it, never turn down an opportunity to visit with people that buy and sell your cigars. And I think that's important as well. It's becoming more difficult. And I apologize here publicly for any retailer, consumer, staff member that doesn't feel like they've gotten enough love over the last few years as we've grown. It's not for the lack of effort. It's going to take more planning in the future to get to more places and spend more time. Maybe I need to spend less time but make more stops. Right. My problem is I get to West Palm, or I get to Boynton Beach. I get down along the coast there, and I camp out. Right. I'm there. I enjoy not just one cigar, but maybe it's 4 cigars, and then the next thing you know, you got smooth bounce in. We're listening to music, having a cocktail. I mean, it's easy to feel comfortable and not get up and go anywhere else. So I've got to work on that.
You know a guy's a regular when he knows the name of your DJ.
Absolutely, right?
It's like mood lighting, right? It's like Christmas lights. I mean, the bottom line is the man puts it on. whatever the choice of music, it always seems to hit the mood and the moment and the time, whether we're trying to ramp it up or we're trying to wind it down and relax, whatever it is, that the man's got his finger on the pulse, because music dictates that attitude and that personality for that moment in time. So God bless you.
Yeah, he'll be doing a lot of stuff during the Great Smoke in February. He'll be working overtime.
Oh yeah,
that's good for a young man.
Absolutely.
Well, it's funny because he just doesn't come and DJ our events or does music. He's literally become hardcore part of the cigar culture. And I Alex, you've known him a lot longer than me. I don't know if he always was into the cigar culture so hardcore, or just working here has made it so. But he's a smoking socialite. He's in our private Facebook group. He's posting. He's into new brands, trying new stuff. He's really gotten into the culture in the past and been very passionate about it.
Yeah, no, you could see. I mean, he smoked cigars when I met him, but you could see his evolution. He's really gotten into the lifestyle, and he's really become part of our family. He's not just a guy that comes and DJs, every night or whatever. He's become part of our family, part of the socialite family. Shout out to Kyle, Smooth Bounce, man. He's really a great guy.
Yeah, and honestly, it's to the point where like I don't know. Do I want to ask him to work the Great Smoke, or do I want to just let him go to enjoy the Great Smoke? You know what I'm saying? But he's like, no, man, I want to work here. He wants to be there. He wants to provide the entertainment.
Part of it, and he knows he's part of the experience.
Yeah, but that's how much he's got. And I think that's another cool thing about employing people in this business. I can't tell you how many times we've employed somebody. Like, perfect example, our bartender Anna. I love her. She's like a baby sister to me. But I don't think Anna maybe ever smoked a cigar. I mean, filled with regular tobacco. Prior
I was just gonna say,
prior to working for, and she smokes a cigar almost every time I'm walking out there. She's lighting up something up, enjoying it. Has really gotten into the passion and the culture, and I love seeing that. That's awesome.
And she has, believe it or not, Anna has a really great palate. She's always smoking. One, she likes a full-bodied cigar, but she's always smoking something interesting every time I go in there.
I'm going to tell you something. In my time, in my experience, I've come to learn, or I don't know if it's just coincidence or there's some factual stuff there, but the women who really get into cigars, like smoke them on a regular basis and really enjoy them, and is not just doing it as part of a social setting and as a hobby. They got good palates. Mm-hmm. They really do. I'll tell you, man, my wife went to every trade show with me until she got pregnant. And I will tell you, almost every single show, because we get handed cigars from everybody. Try this. When the Singulare came out from Legion, she said, this cigar is amazing. We don't know what's going to be a big hit. We're at the show, everybody's shoving cigars in our face, we're smoking them. My tongue is like a piece of burnt leather after about 6 hours of walking the show floor. And Oliva V or the original Oliva, I can't remember, like on the show floor while she's smoking the sample, she's like, this cigar is amazing. I think I found my new favorite cigar. And then it would be a big hit. So she had done that continuously. So I don't know if it's and you got to remember, most of the factories since the beginning of time, the rollers are typically women, and a lot of them are involved in the process. I don't know if it's because I know genetically they see color better than us. If you go to any factory, the sorters are always women. They see shades of color better than the males thing. So I don't know, but yeah, the women that I know who are heavily into the lifestyle, they got good palates.
Yeah, always. I mean, she rarely gives me a recommendation because she thinks that, on the show we get so much exposure. But I've taken a couple of suggestions from Anna on cigars that I haven't smoked before, and have never been disappointed. Maybe 3 or 4 times now. So if you're ever at Smoke Inn in Boynton Beach, she's got she's got great taste.
Oh! You just made a new KMA segment.
Ask Anna. She won't come on.
No, she won't. She'll do a pre-recorded.
She'll do a pre-record.
We'll do it on
sure?
social media. Yeah,
I've asked her to come on a million times.
She'll do a pre-recorded.
Listen to me. You don't know why she won't. Well, I don't know. She's kind of had a new lifestyle in the last year or so, but Anna couldn't wake up before 1 o'clock if life depended on it.
That's true.
But now in the last year, I think the COVID may have changed. But like she gets up early. I see her walking the beach with her dogs at 7 a.m. But
Yep.
Anna would totally do a pre-recorded segment. We have pre-recorded. We are going to start an Ask Anna.
I would love it.
Well done, Alex. Alex comes up with some of the best ideas without even knowing it.
He's like, oh, I did.
he does it.
The GOAT. Speaking of the GOAT, I got to jump in real quick because today is the annual Army-Navy game. We got Alex the GOAT on here. Most people don't know U.S. Naval Academy mascot is Bill the GOAT. As of right now, it's Bill number 37. But obviously, this industry has far more Navy personnel than the Army. I'm quite convinced, whether it's Soccer or Skip or it's Chris at Scallywag Cigars or it's somebody on the Marine side that's under the Department of the Navy, i.e. Brian McGee, Crown Heads. But I just happen to have my Army cutter here, which was made by a Navy chief, quite ironically. But go Army, beat Navy.
Robert, where is that game? Where's that game being played now?
That game this year shall be.
Oh, I see the resemblance.
West Point, New York.
Okay, because that was a Philadelphia staple for years, the Army-Navy game.
Yeah, I believe it's in West Point this year. But again, you love the rivalries. Army, I think they throw for like 4 yards a game, but run for 350 or whatever. But it's a rivalry game, and there'll be a decade where Navy just crushes Army, and I think the last 5 or 6 years, Army's kind of dominated with that run game. But listen, for us, when we were serving, none of us got to go to the academies. We were just poor schmucks. But at the end of the day, we always got into the rivalry games anyway. But today's the day. And I don't know if you know this, but according to the news, the Army cadets went to kidnap Bill the mascot.
Nice.
And in typical Army fashion, as they went out to the pasture where the goats, Bill number 37 was the target. The goat scattered, like Alex, ran for the fences. They kidnapped the retired goat, Bill number 34. So they can't even get that right. So I don't know how the game's going to go. Kidnap the wrong guy. The retired guy
again of the goat. So Alex doesn't sleep well. He has rough mornings. This is pretty much what he looks like when he comes in the morning with his cup of coffee.
I see it now. I see it. Yeah.
They got the same haircut.
Got the same color uniform on. Look,
There you go.
All right. Well, it's that time this week to see what's going on in the cigar verse. Let's check in with our man William Cooper to see what is the scoop with Coop.
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
It's Koopa. What's up,
Good morning.
Koopa?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Robert.
Morning,
how you doing?
Good. Good to see you. It's been a while. It's but a very good. I missed you when you were in Charlotte, and I apologize. I was actually out. I think I was out that weekend when you came through.
Yeah, I think you went out west. You were exploring, kind of like Lewis and Clark. But
yeah,
you need a sidekick. Could be Coop and like Lewis and Clark, because you're always out exploring the ends of the earth.
Right.
We got really high glare there, Coop. What's the hat you're wearing?
It's an Ignite hat.
Oh, there you
I
go.
guess. Yep, it's a Robert's hat, one of Robert's brands, and some really great cigars in that line. I still love that Corojo that's in that line, a lot.
Speaking of hats, true story. Last night, my kids, my 2 daughters, and I were working in the warehouse doing the advent calendars. Paul's been there for about 30, 40 minutes, and my oldest daughter, somebody says, "Hey, Paul," and my oldest daughter goes, "Paul's here?" And she goes, "Oh my God, what happened? I did not recognize you without a hat." and what did she say? It was the greatest line.
Where'd your hairline go?
Your hairline has moved away and died.
But it's funny because I've known your kids now. It's probably been close to 5 years.
Long time. Yeah.
Maybe my hair. I guess maybe I had a little bit more hair.
You
know what it is? My hair is very long.
I don't think
it looks
they've
bad.
ever seen you without a hat.
Thank
That's
God.
probably better.
I really
probably
don't.
better. I have to buzz it. It's just there's a lot of stuff. I had to do Christmas lights. We've been doing home haircuts, which I never thought I would ever say this, but on Long Island I was getting $100 haircuts and I had this much hair. But we've been doing home haircuts now since the beginning of COVID, and I don't know. She does the same thing that my barber does, so I'm like, why not?
$100 haircuts. What were they charging you by the hair?
I don't know, man. Everything's so much more expensive there. I have to say.
I hate to sound like really bad, but like it's to the point now where my oldest daughters are making comments like your hairline moved the way it died. Like I hear myself in them. I'm like, oh my God, that's like something I would totally say.
Your daughter named me. She said if you were a wrestler, you would be called the Receder.
Which one said that? The middle one? Zane?
Yeah, Zane said
that. Brutal.
Which, by the way, I didn't even recognize. It's probably been a good since I saw Zane last. When was the last time I was at your house? Like at least 6 months ago.
Hormones.
I'm like, who is this woman standing in here? She was a little kid last time I saw her.
I know, man. Once that hormones hit in, puberty, man, they overnight change, man. It's so brutal. They go from little baby girls to who are you? Like instantly. It's so
Why
bad.
are these women in my house?
Brutal.
It's crazy.
Brutal. All right, Coop, what's going on this week? What kind of news you got?
All right. This first story is kind of an interesting one. Comes out of J.C. Newman, and a little anecdote I'll tell with this. Bear and I were down at the J.C. Newman factory in 2019, and he had never been there before. They were going through the renovations, and he sees this abandoned building across the street. And being the historian he is, he knew it was a hotel, and he's like, "Wouldn't it be really cool if they restored this hotel and had it go along with the museum, right?" And little did we know that was actually the plan that J.C. Newman had. We didn't notice at the time. But they announced, and this has kind of already been out there, but it was formally announced this past week, that they're going to be restoring the Sanchez Yihaya Hotel, which is right across the street from the El Holt factory. It's going to include a restaurant, cigar lounge. They're talking hotel. I don't think this is going to be a huge hotel they're talking about. But I think there's going to be cases where you could basically overnight there, so to speak. So they're starting the renovations right now. I guess the big story is they have to get these bats out of there and relocate them to a safe haven before they can start the construction. So they're saying late 2023. I think more realistically it will be 2024 when we see this. But I think it's a great thing, another great thing that they're doing for the city of Tampa. I know, we were all just down there, so I think it's exciting news.
We saw the building.
Right.
The Newmans actually told us about this.
I know. That's how we knew that. Yeah, we knew that. Yeah.
And you saw it, Coop. That is that's not a little project restoring that building.
It's not a little building. Amazing. It's not a little building. Yeah, it's not a little building either, as I'll say.
No, and it is in disrepair. I mean, I'm sure the bones are still good. Like it's all brick.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the buildings over there, but man, it's going to be so cool when it does open.
I think it's like I said, it's going to be great what they're doing down there. And now what they've done with the factory and the museum, which we saw, this is like the next logical step to do this.
Interesting. What else you got going on?
We may have mentioned this last week, but I'm not sure if we did. But Mombacho cigars. That our friend Claudio Suori was there for a while. He's no longer there. This over the past week, they announced that they are doing a branding change for the U.S. market, and they're rebranding themselves in the U.S. as Favilli Cigars. Now Favilli's name, they're rebranding as Favilli Cigars.
Favilli.
Yep. Now I'll tell the story with that. Favilli is the name of their factory, Casa Favilli. Now, in the press releases they came out with, they haven't said a lot about this, but it's being changed only in the U.S., and it's believed that this is a result of an ongoing dispute they've had with Tabacalera Tropical, a.k.a. Aganorsa leaf, over the name Mombacho over the years. That's been a contentious battle. But they have now removed the Mombacho name from all the packaging, from all their marketing in the U.S., and they are now going forward with the Favilli name. So in this past week, they just announced that they rebranded their Diplomatico rum line, Diplomatico rum cigars, which used to be Diplomatico by Mombacho. So big changes happening down there. Not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Interesting.
Yep. So stay tuned more on that.
What else you got going on, Coop?
Last story was because it was a light week this week in news. Drew Estate has formally started shipping the 20-acre farm release to retailers. That was announced a few weeks ago on their Freestyle Live. They did a mystery release to consumers with the blend, and the idea is consumers had to figure out what the blend was. And it turned out to be a new Florida sun-grown tobacco blend. Called the 20-acre farm, named after Jeff Borchwitz's farm, which is 20 acres. And this release is going to have an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, which is, Drew Estate doesn't have a lot of Connecticut shade wrapper cigars, and now they're going to have one going forward with the FSG tobacco. And we talked about this, I think, when it got announced. But I know we kind of talked to the KMA. The original FSG release is going back to Jeff now as a exclusive to Corona Cigars, so it's no longer going to be a national release.
Very nice packaging. We saw some of the boxes.
It really was nice packaging.
Gonna be a pricey.
I was going to say, it's an expensive cigar, isn't it?
Yeah. You're looking in that $12 to $14 range for that. And that's a product I'm sure of. Some of the tobacco obviously is not cheap for Jeff to get that tobacco out. So. It's gonna be. They're positioning this as more of a premium line for sure.
Anything else you got going on?
That is this. It was a very light news week this week.
Very light week, and you got your.
Sorry. I was trying to put the 20-acre farm up, and I accidentally put the goat.
Come back.
Do you have a graphic for the 20 acre?
I thought I did. I used to have it. I'm putting it up. I gotta get it again.
You
just say no, Paul.
You can't go wrong with the goat, though. I mean, that's one thing that's clear.
Coop, you got your top of the year cigars coming up, right? Oh, there it is.
Yep. You'll see they're being unveiled. We're going to be doing cigars from 30 up to number 1. A lot of great cigars, so you'll see. So
you'll be teasing them every day for the next one.
Absolutely not, because there's no clickbait on mine. You'll see the cigar, and you can, if you want to read more about the great details, you can. But you could just look at it and see it. But we want to give every cigar a spot in this spotlight, so to speak.
The spotlight, and that starts when exactly?
It started yesterday.
So what was your 30?
It was a cigar. It was a smaller release. It was by Viaje, and it was their Viaje Black and White Connecticut, which I believe is coming out of the Aganorsa factory. It's a very good cigar. But you'll see some more higher profile releases start to come out.
Does Andre do anything? I mean, I don't see him or sense his presence at all. I mean, every time it's one of those brands. Listen, we carried it in our stores for a while. We tried. This model's hard.
It's a hard model. Yes.
The bigger we got, it became very hard to deal with some of these guys who just don't have the capacity to warehouse product and deliver it, and they try to buy. They try to buy to the orders. I mean, it's a hard model. But like every time someone mentions his name, I go, oh God, they're still around. Is he active at all?
Yeah, he does about every month. He does a small batch release, and they're very they're small batch releases. And there's some retailers who do very well with them, and there's other retailers. You're not the only one. It doesn't work for them, the small batch model. But his model is entirely a small batch model, and some of the small batch cigars go very quickly. Some of them don't go as quickly. And it just depends. Like I say, hit or miss. I see with him with that.
So he's gone to a monthly small, because it used to be only like 2 or 3 a year. Now it's like a monthly small batch release.
I want to say about monthly, maybe 10 to 12 for sure is a very accurate line. Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot for people. Yeah.
So when is number 29 announced? Is that today?
It will be announced today.
What time do you drop it?
It will drop as soon as the proofreading is done on it. So it should drop this afternoon for sure. So
no pressure to the editor.
No pressure. No.
Mrs. Cooper now is handling that full time. So and she had to go get her COVID shot, this booster shot this morning. So
wow, booster shots are in effect.
Yeah. So, she actually was resistant to get it, believe it or not, but decided to do it. So, and I understand that as well.
Well, they're starting. Other parts of the country are starting to add mask mandates again.
You know, it's
up in New York starting Monday, I believe it is. There's a mask
listen,
mandate again.
I isolated myself for a while. I'm coming to the Great Smoke, so I will be there. That's not changing. I went too stir crazy in this house for a while.
And that says something because Coop's got like a 10,000 square foot mansion there.
I saw your mansion in the commercial. That's a mansion.
We call it, Paul. We call it the plantation.
Oh, the plantation.
The plantation.
Listen, Coop, you could say my house is big, but I'll tell you what, I don't have a parlor.
Hey, I gotta say this: we have the Christmas tree up in the parlor, and that advent calendar is right under the Christmas tree, and I got no pushback from my wife putting that under the Christmas tree. She's
because that box is gorgeous. I was eyeing it last night.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just when the lights shine on it.
Yeah, we got a lot of compliments.
Really,
Brian Glynn made a nice video. We got a lot of compliments. And it's much more impressive when you see it and hold it. And
you remember when I was in the office, Abe, and I said, when you showed it to me for the first time in person, my reaction, because it was when you see that thing in person, it's like 10 times even more impressive than it is. It's impressive looking at it in a picture.
The heft of it is because you don't realize like this is a real box. It's not like thin cardboard mock-up. It's
a product. It's a product in itself without the cigars in it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And Abe, this is not just sucking up, but compliments to you guys to getting these out the way you guys have been doing that. If I was down there, I'd come into the warehouse and help you guys too. But you guys really, are making every effort for people to get this, and I think people are going to be rolled over when they see this thing. It's going to be great.
My partner's daughter and 9 of her friends showed up at 9 o'clock this morning on top of other people we have.
Yeah.
My 2 daughters are there, and I'm heading right there right after the show.
You guys are putting the cigars, and for people who don't know, you guys have to put the cigars into the box. So it's not just like taking the box and putting it into a carton. You guys there's a lot of work that's going into it.
First off, you got to take the master case that has 4 of these advent calendars in them, and each one of those boxes is in a box. So you got to open up each one of these boxes, but then it is in a plastic bag.
Right.
Then you got to take the plastic bag out. Then these are all back door loaded. So then we have to open up the back door. We got a nice little system. We pull out all the drawers, and because there's a humidifier pack on the back wall. Brian Glynn thought that each individual drawer was humidified, so he's like looking in there. He goes, "Oh, maybe it's not humidified." Then he actually looked. He goes, "Oh, I could see it." So
the whole back of it, where it's sealed, is a humidipack.
Yeah. So the drawers have these holes in them, so the humidity can flow through, and you got to pull them out really quick. I actually have one of my kids do it because even my pinkies are too fat. But you pull all the drawers out, and then we have one person who stacks each row at a time on top of the box while the person on the other side loads them in, pushes the drawers in. We peel off the 3M tape, slap it, seal it, and then it goes to the guys who are then, which Paul was helping last night, bubble wrap this box because we don't want it to get any dings and damages, and then they got to put it in another box with then the air pillows and whatnot,
which is also lined with air pillows.
Yep. And then pack it up and tape it. It's a big process.
I can't wait to have one sitting on my desk here because I feel like, and people will do that. Like it's like a holiday decoration in itself.
Look, we've always been committed to just. My philosophy's always been make the experiences. The money will always work itself out, right?
Right.
And they don't realize between the $36 box, right? So the retail on the cigars, I think you get about $30 off whatever the regular retail is, but it's a $38 box. Forget the hours of labor, right? I mean, I got teams of people working, right? We're paying them well, hours of labor, and then we're charging our normal shipping, which is like $7, $8, $9. These boxes are costing $21 to $25 to ship.
I'm sure it's more than double.
This was a bit,
It's not a money making venture.
Oh, I don't see how it is.
This is not a money making venture, but it's cool as hell, isn't it?
It showed up at my door yesterday, and it was. I didn't think it was the advent calendar because it was so big. This box, right? And like I said, this is a one of a kind box. I was gonna tell you, it's when you see this thing, it's amazing.
The crazy part about it is I was talking to Alex this morning. because of packing last night, I already got these awesome ideas on what to do next year. I almost can't wait to get to next year to show this off and what we're going to do next year. Next year will be an interactive calendar. It's going to be badass.
Ooh.
Yes, badass. We have a badass box next year. I don't know if Robert took a piss break or he thought he was done with the show, but
he had to run away.
Yeah, we hope he's all right.
Yep.
Now it's time for that section of the show, Tale of the Tape, Season 3, Best Mafia Movies of All Time.
All right, so we are in the top 3. I'm probably going to take a little bit of heat this week, but coming in at number 3 on my list is The Godfather. I'm going to preface this. The Godfather is on list as one of the greatest movies, period, of all time, and it is. As far as a mafia movie, obviously, probably the most iconic mafia character, Michael Corleone. But it's like the mafia movie that didn't want to be a mafia movie. They didn't use the term. You never really knew what these guys did to make their money. It's kind of like the mafia meets Shakespeare. A well-done movie, obviously probably the most iconic mafia movie there is, but falls to number 3 on my list.
Number 3 is no Shab, Alex. No. So, but we'll go on. So my number 3, and this is a mob movie I had not seen until about 5 years ago, and it was Goodfellas. And why I didn't see it for 5 years is because of my dislike for Joe Pesci. But I finally was convinced to watch this movie, and it is an amazing movie. It's the story of Henry Hill and his rise in a mafia group there, played by Ray Liotta. And a fantastic role. It's based on a true story, and I tell you what, it is just amazing job even the cinematography is fantastic. Just how they move through time. It's one of my favorite periods of time where this goes through. My loss for not seeing that movie sooner.
Yeah, we have to dive into your I don't know if you saw my reaction off screen, Alex, when he said I saw it 5 years ago. Yeah, I'm like, really?
Coop has a real discontent for Joe Pesci. And by the way, just to clarify, when I say The Godfather, 1 and 2 is one movie for me.
All right, I'll accept that.
Interesting, Alex. Okay.
So just
well, what about Godfather 3 then? not Godfather 3.
No, 1 and 2 is one movie. 3 is
I think 3 is respectable. At first I didn't realize why you said I'm going to take some heat, but you're saying you're taking some heat because it's 3 instead of 1 or 2. Yeah, it's respectable for a movie, total iconic movie. The only way you're going to get heat is I have to see who your number 2 and 1 is before I get heat for
now
number 3.
I could guess one of them, but I'm not, the other one's going to be curious now.
But yeah, sure. and you know, let's pay tribute to Goodfellas because that's where the iconic saying "Don't be a Karen," I believe, came from.
Yes, a good point, Abe.
Don't be a Karen.
Don't be a Karen.
Karen.
I don't know that I agree with Alex's assessment of The Godfather. So you're saying because they don't say that it's a mob movie that doesn't want to be a mob movie, right?
It's not about the business of the mob. That's what
it's not. What do they do? How do they make their money? There's no.
It's about the life. But kind of family.
It shows Alex's apparent inexperience with people of that world because you can sit next to somebody every single day of your life that is in that business. You'll never know how they make their money. They don't call it the mob. They don't call it La Cosa Nostra. You don't talk about it.
But the whole 5 families is in
you don't
that.
know those people, Paul.
What's that?
But listen, they don't even curse in The Godfather.
But that was because they were trying to release that wider. I'm sure.
I agree, but again, it was the mafia movie that kind of didn't want to be a mafia movie. How do these guys make their money? What do they do? It's a movie, Paul. We're not fucking having conversations with real mafia guys. In Donnie Brasco, they were knocking off parking meters.
I never really noticed, but what was the rating of The Godfather? What was it rated?
It was R, I believe, but I think Coppola talks about how they got an NC-17 originally.
I don't think they had NC-17 back
Yeah,
then.
I don't
though.
think they had him back then.
Well, they got whatever was too much for them to have. So he talks about how they had to take a lot of things out of the movie.
There was an
in
X
order to
rating
get
back
it.
then, but X wasn't for porn. It was for adult. Was originally how the X rating came about. And then because of porn, they ended up coming up with an NC-17 to make it sound. That was the whole thing with that. Yeah. You know, one thing just on Goodfellas, there's a lot of inspiration for The Sopranos in that movie, which I found that
there's a lot of the same people.
Michael Imperioli, the whole Michael Imperioli getting shot in the foot, and then he does it in The Sopranos.
Right.
Yeah,
I can't believe you've talked about this on the air before, but
disdain for Joe Pesci.
It's not
so
like
weird.
It's not like Bear's disdain for Chevy Chase, who I don't hate the guy. He's just I don't know. I'm not a fan of his. Is what I'm
Listen,
saying.
I'm not a fan.
He was good in this movie. I'm going to say that too.
You know, I despise Rob Reiner and his politics. Would never make me not go see a movie. He's made some great movies.
Yeah. Do you know Abe Jose Blanco actually told me that Rob Reiner he thinks is personally responsible for all the anti-tobacco in California. And
he began the anti-tobacco movement.
Yeah,
without a doubt. That's where most of my disdain comes from. Because when I was getting in the industry, he was the look. And typically, especially back in the day when I first got it, all this anti-tobacco legislation all started in California. It all started in California and worked its way west, right? East. So Rob Reiner was literally the head of this movement. And you know, it's like, you know, all right. I mean, but he took it personal, and he was very prolific about anti-tobacco legislation. But like, you know, it wouldn't make me not go see a movie. I don't know why you wouldn't see a movie one of almost everybody in the world claimed as a classic because Joe Pesci had a role in it. Where does this disdain come from?
Oh, Lethal Weapon 2.
Wow, at least
Leo
he knows.
Getz? You got a problem with Leo Getz?
It's just the guy was like fingers on his chalkboard for me. I mean,
that was what that character was supposed to be.
I know. But it's not, like I said, this is not like the Bear Chevy Chase hatred where I will say he's bad in every movie, because I'll say this: Joe Pesci was fantastic in Goodfellas, and he deserves credit on that.
Do you know what the inspiration of that Trinity in Lethal Weapon 3 was?
No.
The Three Stooges.
Interesting.
Yeah, Mel Gibson was a huge Three Stooges
Interesting.
fan,
Yeah,
and that was the trilogy.
Interesting.
Joe Pesci was like the curly character.
Yeah.
Interesting facts on KMA. Well,
Coop's the first person I've ever heard that has this disdain for Joe Pesci. If you poll 1,000 people on the street, 999 of them will be like, I love him.
Right. Listen, when he told me he had disdain for him, I'm thinking maybe he ran into him somewhere and he told him to fuck off or something. Not that he didn't like his character from Lethal Weapon 3, for Pete's sake. Especially when the character's purpose was to be annoying as hell.
He succeeded in it.
So Pesci played his role to a T so well that you refuse to see his movies.
Right, that Coop can't get the image of him.
my loss for not watching Goodfellas. What an iconic movie. Like I said, when you're this high on the list, it's a fantastic.
And that's movie. a movie like Godfather and Casino that anytime it's on, I can watch it. I don't have to be in the mood to watch either of those movies.
Yeah.
They can just, if Goodfellas is on, it stays on. One goat. What was it? One goat looks east. One goat. What is it? Sheep. One sheep looks east. One sheep looks west.
Yep.
The painting. I have a buddy that has that painting in his office behind his desk.
They were dogs, Paul.
Yeah.
Well,
one dog. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it in a long time.
Robert, if you're saying
muted.
something, you're on mute, I think.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, Robert.
I unmuted him.
Oh, there you go.
I got
you.
it.
Try again.
Oh, Southern drawl observation here, since I was muted. We have a question here in Texas as to Coop's ability to put together a significant list of the best mafia movies ever. If he only saw The Godfather, I only saw Goodfellas 5 years ago.
I agree.
I've watched it a lot. It's a fair thing, but I've watched it countless. When I've gone back and watched this movie countless times, it definitely earns it.
I don't know if you saw the.
But if you had gone back for the last 25 years and watched it as many times as the rest of us, probably number one or number two, no matter, it would change your whole list, is what I'm saying.
Robert, I don't know if you've caught earlier shows of this list or looked at the full list. Do we put up the full list for this week yet?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put it up again.
You should
Yeah.
do it again. Yeah.
I automatically refuted Coop when he picked Scarface as one of the top mafia movies of all times.
Vincent Pastore didn't think that.
Yeah, well, you know.
I feel like I won him over. I won him over.
Pastore made us sing too, so
And he was high.
And he was high, yeah. Anyways, Robert, thanks for coming on. We appreciate your time. All our friends and fans out there, we hope we entertained you, made you laugh, maybe taught you a thing or two. The best way to spend your Saturday mornings. Next week, Eddie Guerra, and next week is our last show of this year. So maybe we'll have some recaps of 2021 next week. But we'll have Eddie Guerra, and fittingly, he'll have to answer one of his own questions next week in the
final one. The final one.
The final one of the year. Actually, we should just make that tradition. If he keeps going, the segment going, he should just be the final one of the year.
Every year.
He has to do his own show, his own segment.
Yep.
But everybody else, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you next week. Keep it lit.